India built IITs before it built strong primary schools. And 75 years later, we are still paying the price. This is not an attack on one government. It is a story of priorities stretching from British rule to today. India has succeeded in putting children into schools. But schooling is not the same as learning. In rural India, enrolment among children aged 6 to 14 exceeds 98%. Yet only 23.4% of Class 3. Government school children read Class 2 text. Only 27.6% can perform a basic subtraction problem. That is the real crisis. Children attend school, but many do not learn. To understand why, we must go back to British India. The colonial state never treated universal primary education as a governing priority. It needed clerks, administrators, translators, and intermediaries, not an educated population. Mass education produced little immediate value for an extractive colonial government. British India, therefore, spent extraordinarily little on basic human development. By 1930, India lagged badly in primary education. Yet elite secondary and higher education received relatively greater attention. The pattern was established early. Educate the top, neglect the foundation. Independence should have broken that pattern. The Constitution expected free compulsory education for every child by around 1960. India missed that target spectacularly. Instead, the new republic pursued industrialization, universities, laboratories, and elite technical education. Those investments were necessary. But the sequencing was deeply flawed. India created world-class institutions before creating world-class neighbourhood primary schools. The first IIT opened in 1951. Millions of village children still lacked adequate elementary education. Successive Congress governments expanded schooling enormously. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan later brought millions more children into classrooms. The Right to Education Act made elementary schooling a legal entitlement. These were major achievements. But policy remained far stronger on access and infrastructure than learning outcomes. We built classrooms, appointed teachers, distributed textbooks, and counted enrolment. We were less rigorous about one question: can the child actually read? That distinction matters enormously. India effectively created a right to school before ensuring a right to learn. Now consider the Modi years. It would be wrong to say nothing has been done. NEP 2001 made foundational literacy and numeracy a national priority. Nipun Bharat explicitly targets basic reading and arithmetic in the early grades. Samagra Shiksha, PM Poshan, and teacher training programs continue substantial public investment. Recent ACE year results even show meaningful improvement in early grade learning. Government School Class 3 reading rose from 16.3% in 2022 to 23.4%. That improvement deserves credit. But 23.4% remains a devastatingly low national outcome. More than 3/4 still cannot read a Class 2 level text. Teacher shortages remain severe in many places. Nearly 10 lakh teaching posts were vacant in 2024 to 25. Many small government schools operate with only 1 or 2 teachers. Multi-grade classrooms remain common. One teacher may simultaneously teach children from different grades and learning levels. No policy slogan can magically overcome such classroom realities. India has also repeatedly promised to spend 6% of GDP on education. That aspiration dates back to 1968. Yet combined public education spending remains around 4% of GDP. After nearly 6 decades, that gap cannot be called an oversight. It reflects political priority. Why does this happen under governments of every color? Because primary school children have almost no political power. They do not vote. The consequences of bad schooling appear years after the responsible minister has moved on. And the influential classes have largely exited government schools. Politicians, senior officials, and prosperous families usually educate their children elsewhere. So the people designing the system rarely depend upon it personally. That changes political incentives dramatically. A highway produces ribbon cuttings, photographs, and immediate visibility. Excellent foundational teaching produces benefits slowly, quietly, and years later. And there is another uncomfortable truth. Poor parents often have the weakest ability to demand accountability. The families with the strongest voices can simply leave for private schools. So government schools gradually become a service, mainly for people with limited political influence. This is the heart of the problem. Imagine senior politicians and officials depended on their neighborhood government school. Teacher vacancies would suddenly become urgent. Broken toilets would get repaired faster. Learning outcomes would receive daily attention. The system knows how to improve schools. What it lacks is sustained political pressure to make ordinary schools excellent. This is why the colonial pattern still echoes today. British rulers educated a narrow layer useful to administration. Independent India built elite institutions useful to national development. Both left the educational foundation weaker than it should have been. The motives were completely different. But the structural mistake was remarkably similar. India repeatedly strengthened the top before fully securing the bottom. And that is extraordinarily expensive. A child who cannot read confidently by class 3 falls further behind every year. Later spending on skills, universities, and employment cannot easily repair that foundation. Viksit Bharat 2047 therefore begins in class 1, not in an IIT. India needs excellent ordinary government schools, not merely islands of excellence. Every child deserves teachers, attention, accountability, and measurable learning. Not because education is welfare, because foundational education is India's most important economic infrastructure. Until we understand that, the demographic dividend remains partly a slogan. India built IITs before it built primary schools. We should be proud of the IITs. But now, we must finally finish the foundation. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.